Hey everyone, happy Friday. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't have anything planned for today. So we're going to go through the transits and then just kind of dig into a little bit about, I guess, just the energy I've been feeling, what I've been going through, what I've been experiencing for the past week. So it'll probably end up being more of a mini episode, but that is okay. This week I've really been focusing on my meditation practice. I've been doing a lot of yoga, a lot of grounding. The sun was in gate 59, which is part of my bridge channel. So as it relates to human design, basically, if you do not have a single definition, there is a gap somewhere in your flow of energy. And so for me, I have a wide split, which means there's one specific channel that is missing. And so how that presents itself a lot of times is you intensely feel this missing energy, like you're always trying to fill it, but you take in that energy, intensify or amplify it. And so it's kind of just really a learning lesson, I guess. It's a lesson for you in your life. It's something that you can master and then really just learn from. And so gate 59 is half of that channel that I'm missing. So it's always been super present in my life and is the gate of intimacy. And it comes from the sacral. So I've just kind of been digging into that and understanding how the entire channel relates to me. So it's been really interesting. But as of this podcast, our sun has moved into gate 40. So what I see, first of all, when I look at the transit currently, we have our G center open with gate 10 and 15 are active, but in the unconscious, so they may not feel very present. And especially if you don't have the gate active or the center active, you won't necessarily feel that energy anyway. And then the spleen is completely open, and the spleen is our center for survival, fear, and our immune system. So this can make us take in and amplify that energy. So especially right now with what's going on, that fear is definitely amplified. Our need for survival is definitely amplified. All these energies. And then the rest of the chart, again, our emotions and our mind are very active. Our throat's active. Our throat is connected to our emotions. So we might be finding it easier to communicate our emotions. That 1222 is still active, which is like super moody and chaotic and all that kind of stuff. So if you're not used to this energy, it can be kind of a lot. And our root center is open as well. And our sun is in gate 40, which is the gate of aloneness. It's coming out of the will center. So the will center is all about willpower, the ego, resources, material things. So this is really just using willpower to distinguish the difference between struggle and liberation. It's about being separate from the tribe, kind of a need for separateness, right? A need for aloneness, to separate yourself from the group. It's really important. This gate is also the gate for your love of work. So when you're doing something that you love, when you're doing something that's aligned and that lights you up, it can really bring this energy. And then you can bring the resources and rewards that come from this to the tribe. So it's kind of like this give and take. Being appreciated by the tribe as well is really important. So it just really carries that willfulness of the heart. And that first line energy really brings like knowing when to rest. So the heart center, if it's active, can act as a sort of energy center, and we really need to make sure that we're resting in that area. Our earth, which is like our grounding, is in gate 37. This is coming out of the solar plexus and attaches to gate 40. So we have that entire channel. So they're going to complement each other in the sense that we're not having that empty space on the other side that we're trying to crave or trying to fill. They fill each other. So this is the gate of friendship. This is the most communal gate that you can have in your chart. It really holds communities together. It's about touching and emotional connection. And because it's coming out of the emotional solar plexus, we know that it comes in waves, right? So you have to follow your, if you're emotional, or just the emotion center in general kind of goes in waves. This is the gate of the mouth. So we can often create this sense of community by bringing people together with food. And so having it connected with gate 40, we have the resources through the work that we love, hopefully, to be able to bring this to the community. And then our moon is what drives us. And currently our moon is in gate 38, which comes out of the root center, which is all about adrenaline and pressure. This pressure is the pressure, or this gate is the pressure to find value in your life and value for those around you. It's the gate of the fighter. So it's really about confronting adversity, finding your purpose, finding what you are, what your purpose is and what you're going to stand up for, and then truly fighting for that. This energy gives you that, that fight, that drive to fight. And especially being in your moon, this is what is driving us right now. So this gate is also the gate of deafness, which really helps in fighting and standing up for what you believe in, because you're not going to hear so much the ones that oppose you. So as always, when it comes to all of this, just really trust in your process, trust yourself, and always follow your strategy and authority, whatever that may be. If you are, of course, interested in knowing more, if you don't know yours, you can always, my email's in the show notes, and we can do a session and just get you really familiar with your human design, because I think it's super, super important. It changed my life. And I know every single person that I read for, I'm still constantly blown away by how accurate it is. Even though I know it's going to be accurate, it's still kind of amazing. But like I said in the beginning, this week has really been, I've really been focusing on deepening my spiritual practice through meditation, through breath work, through yoga. I've been doing a lot of yoga. I think maybe this past week I've been feeling the rewards of deepening my spiritual practice. I did a deep emotional healing meditation on Sunday, which was amazing. I worked around shame, because that's definitely one of my biggest blocks and limiting beliefs in my life. And always knowing, logically, it's easy to know something logically. It's harder to take action and really push past it. A lot of times when we get in that mode, we just kind of sit back into comfort and don't actually do the thing that we need to do to push past it. It's really about, this has kind of been my mantra for the last couple of weeks, but it's really about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Because if you're waiting to not feel the fear, you're never going to get there. We're always going to be leaning back into that comfort. But it's really, just you doing it through the fear. And that's something I've really worked on distinguishing in myself, in leaning in and understanding what is a hell yes and what is a hell no. And really understanding, is it a hell no, or is it just fear? And I think when you really tap into your body, and this is where meditation and journaling are awesome tools, because when you can really tap into yourself and understand what that feeling feels like, that hell no versus fear. And that really comes down to our breath work too. So fear and excitement are essentially the same physical reaction, right? But when we slow down our breath, when we are in fear, we tend to take really quick, shallow breaths. And this can, once we slow that down and kind of pull ourselves back into this place of not feeling that fear so much, then we can really tap into what is, is this fear, or is this just, I don't want to do something? And I think for me personally, fear sits a lot in my chest, and a no, a hell no, sits in my gut. And so I've really been able to distinguish the difference between those. I've also been adding a lot of yin balancing energy in lately, because I think a lot of us have this yang energy, especially, we're so busy, the way we work out, the way we eat. A lot of what we do in our culture is very yang. It's very masculine. It's very, straight to business, and we don't necessarily always bring in that yin energy. And I was just listening to a meditation, and he was talking about intuition and how we're always, you always hear that female intuition. Whenever you hear man's intuition, or it's always the man part is always the gut instinct. But that intuition is not necessarily woman's intuition or female intuition, but the energy of intuition is very feminine. It's very yin. So balancing those out so that we can, whether you are a man or a woman, when you balance those out, it can really tap into that feminine energy, allows for you to tap into your intuition more, listen to your intuition more, trust your intuition more. Because I think so often we have been taught so much not to trust ourselves, not to trust our body, not to trust our intuition, not to trust our gut instinct. And so we're just kind of left with what are we supposed to do? Like always looking for outside validation, always looking for somebody to tell us what to do, how to act. And another thing that was just said on the meditation, but it was what Buddha said, right? That we should not believe something just because somebody said it. We shouldn't believe something just because we read it. When you truly believe something, it's because you've experienced something and you know from deep within you. And I know I can be very, whether it's the Open G or the Open Head Center, I can see things from all sides. And so I used to believe like anything anybody's told me. I was just like, oh my gosh, like that's so true. It makes so much sense. It's got to be so true. But until you can really like tap into yourself. And so like now I may listen to something and I may believe it, but I'll always kind of pull myself back and see how that feels for me. Does that feel right? Does it feel, have I experienced it? Instead of just, going with it and running, with it. And that also comes with, age and maturity, and obviously just believing in yourself and confidence, because that's something that I always struggled with. I also, as it relates to what I said before about the fear, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. My therapist once had said to me, the opposite of fear is actually faith. And I love that, because when we feel that fear, it's so important to kind of like sit back and step into faith and understand that there is a bigger purpose for everything. We might not always see it. We might never see it. But every single thing that happens to us is, putting us in the right direction for our path. And it doesn't always feel like that. It can feel really frustrating and really alone. And this is where I truly believe, having a spiritual practice, and spiritual practice doesn't mean you have to be like religious or believe in reincarnation. There's a lot of like atheists that are spiritual, because spirituality is really just like tapping into yourself, tapping into your higher self, tapping into that awareness. Awareness, was watching a lecture with Deepak Chopra for my class last week. And, he had asked the audience something, and I can't remember what the question was, but he was like, when I ask you this question, say yes. And so he asked the question, everybody said yes. And then he was like, okay, when I ask you the question again, just don't say anything. Don't say anything until I tell you to say yes. And so the second time he asked them, the room was silent. There was nothing he let it sit for a good 30 seconds. And then he raised his hand and everybody said yes. And so awareness was that silence. It was sitting in that present moment. It was being with that energy and not just speaking or thinking or, whatever that may be. And so, we talk a lot about self-awareness, and it's kind of like coming into yourself in that sense of like sitting with yourself and sitting with that energy and really understanding what that means for you. And I think it's really important just to trust yourself. I always, it's really hard to do because we're taught not to. We're always shamed in a way when we are kids and we naturally trust and believe in ourselves and have all this confidence, and somehow along the way, even the most well-intentioned parents kind of break that down a little bit. So it's just, it's harder, especially as the older you get, it's harder to really like kind of tap into that and trust that. But if you meditate, meditation is really, really, meditation is really helpful in deepening your spiritual practice. Meditation, journaling, obviously, all these mindfulness techniques that we can bring into our lives will really help us center and stay calm and just really understand ourselves, because that's what it is. It's understanding ourselves, accepting all of our perceived flaws, all of our strengths. And I believe it's Gary Vaynerchuk, but he talks about, especially in like business, focus on your strengths. Don't focus on all the weaknesses that you think that you have. You're not going to advance in those places. And, it's going to be those strengths that are going to pull you forward. So why would you put all of your energy into these, what you think are weaknesses? Put all your energy into your strengths and move forward that way. And it's knowing like, hey, I'm not great at, whatever it is, I'm going to have somebody else do that instead of trying to be great at everything. Nobody's great at everything. And so I think that's really important to note as well, because we can always work on our weaknesses, but we don't want to, because wherever we put our energy, wherever we put our mind, wherever we put our focus, energy is going to follow. So it's like, if somebody makes you mad, if you keep thinking about it, you're going to get angrier and angrier and angrier, as opposed to just, if you can let it go and focus your energy elsewhere, it's all going to go together. So that's why, especially when you meditate, especially when you start to meditate and you're trying to get all these thoughts out of your head, and a lot of times we'll be like, like, I can't be thinking about this, like, get out. And because we're putting this resistance, we're putting this like aggressive energy towards it to like get it out of our mind, then you can't let go of it. I love the analogy. I've said it before on here, but it's sitting on the side of a highway and watching all of the cars go past. You're not going to step out into the highway because you're going to get hit by a car, right? And then it's going to drag you, however many feet. It's the same thing with your thoughts. Sit back, allow them to come through. Your mind is not always going to be quiet, but don't grab hold of one, because that energy is going to take you. You're going to constantly like be going in circles with this thought. And it's going to bring that resistance. It's going to bring that energy of feeling like really stuck with it. And so, yeah, I've just been focusing on meditating, focusing on clearing out my chakras, which has really been really helpful. So I feel like this past week has just been a lot of feeling the rewards of my spiritual practice. It's been grounding. Next week, I am going to have to get back to being, I don't want to say motivated, because it's not that I haven't been motivated this week. I've had a lot of great ideas come up, but getting down to the actual stuff that we don't necessarily always enjoy doing. But with that, like I said, it's going to be short and sweet. I believe that was short, but that is this week. So just be aware of those energies that are present, work with them, and always follow your feelings, your body, whatever that authority is for you. Maybe it's in the moment knowing, maybe it's emotional, you got to ride that wave, maybe it's spontaneous from your spleen, but whatever that is for you, just lean into that and trust that. And I hope you have a beautiful weekend, a beautiful week, and I will see you back here next week.